Well, it's a battle that began in 2017. The Churchill family says the school system has been discriminating against their son Carter, who is deaf. They've been fighting for their son to have a full-time teacher who is proficient in American Sign Language, and soon they'll be laying out their case in front of a Human Rights Board of Inquiry. I spoke with Todd and Kimberly Churchill about what they hope to gain from the inquiry.
I think it's two things we're trying to accomplish out of the Board of Inquiry. It starts on the 29th. Firstly is to get Carter guarantees of the support he should have gotten from kindergarten, and really struggled along the way, because for a child like Carter who's deaf, there's no guarantee of the proficiency of the teacher you're assigned. There's no guarantee of how much time you will have with that teacher. There's no guarantee of where what type of environment your child will be in. For example, like from kindergarten to grade 3 in Beachy Cove Elementary, my son was completely socially isolated, surrounded by hearing kids. And he was just there. Like, there was no interaction, he was just there. He was the only child in the entire school who was an ASL user, American Sign Language user. So, I mean, just think about how socially isolating that is. And the second part of this is to hold the people accountable who put Carter in that position, and not only did it, knew they were doing it.
We want to make sure that this never happens to another child, this never happens to another family. So the things that need to be done and should have been done will be put in place so that future children who are deaf and do need ASL as their first language will have a right start off in life and will be given the resources that they need right from the beginning.
Carter's going into grade 6 in a few weeks and he can't read. Like, how did that happen? How did an 11-year-old get pushed along the system to grade 6 and not be able to read? Just imagine if you said that for a hearing child. A hearing child was pushed through the system and is illiterate in grade 6.
An education that is equitable to children who are hearing is basically what it comes down to. If you're a parent of a hearing child and they're in the English school district right now, think about what they have access to. And whatever they have access to, Carter should have access to. There shouldn't be a fight. Us as parents and as a family shouldn't have sacrificed the last 6 years of our life, mentally, emotionally, and financially, to fight for our child to have what your child has and should have. I mean, it's a human right, and all children should have the same access to education. We have been fighting every single step of the way to get the basic things that he needs, like a teacher who can speak ASL, like a teacher who can teach him the curriculum, like having deaf peers around him that he can socially interact with, and have incidental learning, be around deaf role models that he desperately and critically needs in order to develop a self-esteem and identity with deaf culture and deaf community. And these are things that we've been fighting for that he has lost. You know, Carter was integrated every year into the school program. He was integrated. We never asked for Carter to be integrated into the school system. It comes off as if it was an option. There was no option. Your child is mainstreamed into an inclusive, supposedly, education system.
And integrated means you're going to take a deaf child and just put them in a classroom full of hearing children. That's what integrated means. It means you're sitting in a classroom surrounded by hearing children. It would never be accepted for a hearing child to be put in a classroom surrounded by children that can't communicate with that child. It would never be accepted. You know, I don't think any parent every summer should have sleepless nights wondering, what is my son or daughter's education going to look like in September? There should be some fundamental guarantee of a quality of education for your child, and you shouldn't have to spend $43,000 in legal fees getting it.
And that's how much you've spent on this so far?
That's to date, and you know, we've done a tremendous amount of work on our own in terms of research and compiling and providing responses to the district and the department. We spent several hundred hours of our own time, and even then the legal expenses are $43,000 and counting. We expect it to exceed $100,000.
Something has to come out of this, Carolyn, because God help the future children that are deaf and need ASL.
I mean, our fear is that if we get a finding that there was no discrimination, every deaf child going forward will be discriminated against, and they'll get away with it, because every time a parent tries to explain that it's discrimination, they'll hold up the finding in Carter's case and say, look, we have a case in 2022, we didn't discriminate, we can do this, it's okay. I mean, that's the thing we're fearful for. It's going to be given a brand of acceptance by the Human Rights Commission, and you know, I think we have very compelling evidence to say it's not, and we're very hopeful that that'll be the finding, so that no parent will ever have to go through what we've gone through. People have said to me, like, you know, what do you consider winning the case? And I don't even look at it in terms of context of winning. There's only degrees of losing, right? Because Carter has lost out. Even now that some of the supports were pretty good in 1 year at East Point and lesser in the following year, you know, he's substantially behind. In some subject matter, he's in kindergarten level curriculum, and he's going into grade 6. He can't read. Like how do we get a time machine to take Carter back to kindergarten and give him the education he should have gotten, that all the hearing classmates that he had received? How do we do that? How do we undo the damage? The damage is irreparable. So it's not even winning or losing, it's just degrees of losing now.